To 100% complete one of the greatest sandbox survival games of all time, I'm going to have to build a raft that can navigate the high seas, collect thousands upon thousands of resources to turn that raft into a floating fortress, and piece together countless clues in order to save what's left of humanity. Welcome to my 100% playthrough of Raft. This is going to be a freaking movie. So when I first booted up the game, we are able to select between a few different characters. There's 6 of them, and most of them are locked. However, there are 2 that are unlocked, Maya and Ruhi. And I'm gonna go ahead and be the guy, Ruhi, or Rauhi, or I'm butchering the name probably, but whatever that name is. I then jump into a ocean-filled world where I'm on a wooden pallet, and all I have is this hook thingy. I very quickly fell in the water and got bitten by a very scary looking shark. How do I get up? How do I get up? Ow! Dang, he already bit me. And I'm thinking I should probably avoid this guy. I then opened up the crafting menu for the first time by clicking triangle and quickly reviewed it. Something I knew I should probably get ahead of. I guess I should start catching stuff. I also noticed on the bottom left are a water icon, a meat icon, and a heart icon, which seemed to be my thirst, my hunger, and my health, respectively. Also, the shark decided to take a chomp out of my raft, which was really annoying, and he's gonna keep doing this. This frickin' shark, man. So I decided I would build a building hammer to repair the raft. And just like any great crafting game, you gather the materials, the raw materials, and then put them together, combine them into something very helpful and great in this kind of compound. So, all right. Now, what does this do? Okay, let's go. However, it was getting noticeably darker and my water icon was getting significantly lower. I then popped my first trophy for crafting and placing my very first purifier. There it is, Make me a purifier. No, make me a purifier. Okay, okay, there we go. Hey, first trophy, it's better without salt. This would allow me to drink fresh water that I could take from the sea, but that did take me a while to figure out that I had to do that. So my thirst ended up getting too low and drained my health, and I just could not for the life of me figure out how to put water in the purifier. It's looking very poor for you, boy, right here. I think this is it. Take me, shark. Oh, that was scary. That was terrifying. What happens when you get incapacitated is that you lose 2/3 of all of your materials, which is incredibly frustrating later in the game when you have been getting resources for a couple hours and then lose 2/3 of them. But we'll get to that later. So I respawned to my raft and had 2/3 of my materials, and I lost my hook. So it was time to make a new one, as this was pretty much the most important tool I had at this point. Back on it, and I do not have my hook anymore. Interesting. I devised it would be a good idea to get as many resources as I can. And I also noticed in my inventory I had this thing called a blueprint, but I did not know what it was, and it seemed like it was out of my realm of expertise for now. Fortunately, I deduced how to make a cup, which allowed me to put the salt water into the purifier, but I didn't know what to do with it, and all of my health, water, and food were just draining so fast. So it turns out I was clicking or instead of place. I was clicking L2 instead of square, which is the button that just prompts you to put the water in the purifier. So now I know how to put water in the purifier. Oh, I place it. I was pouring it. But now that I got water figured out, I don't have food figured out. So I ended up starving to incapacitation and then respawned with 2/3 of my inventory yet again. So I now was kind of hitting my stride. I was expanding the raft, gathering the resources that were floating at me. You know, my water with the purifier, I'm able to kind of get that. Now for hunger, I'm able to eat the beets and potatoes that are in the barrels and boxes that happen to float by, but I really wanted to figure out how to make or hunt for food. So I ended up making a fishing rod. Fishing rod, let's go. Choose bait. How do you get bait? So I didn't fish until a very long time from now. I literally could have been pulling fish out of the ocean, but I just didn't do it. I did not know that I would do it. I thought I'd be wasting my time. So I really needed to figure out the food sitch. I was starving yet again, so I made a crock pot, but I didn't have any vegetables anymore. Shortly after that, the shark ate my purifier. No. No! No, he killed my purifier. No. I need to build around so that he can't do that. This raft is going to be the most unconventional thing you've ever seen. I decided I was very close to death. My hunger was at 0. My health was almost at 0. So I hopped back in the water to try to kill the shark with my spear. On coming back after that incapacitation, I harvested my plants and realized that they gave me double of what I planted, which was really great. Now I wanted to try to make another crock pot. It's one of the greater crafting games for sure. I mean, one of the best crafting games I've ever played. There's something so satisfying about seeing your progress play out. And I mean, your blood, sweat, and tears go into every foundation, every single thing you put on the raft because of the constant threat of the shark and just, the toil that it takes to gather the resources and build things. So now that was kind of hitting my stride and growing the raft and making another crock pot. I was able to get my next trophy, dinner time, for crafting and placing a grill, which allowed me to cook my beets and potatoes now. A simple grill. Yes, and we got a trophy. Craft and place a simple grill. Okay, yeah, we can cook the beets. I made another grill. My plan was to cook multiple items at once. And now I've got 2 purifiers, 3 pots, and 3 grills. Man, I feel like this is the soundtrack to my redemption arc. The game's also very pretty. I was visited by some lovely dolphin friends. So now I've got the most manageable portion of the game semi-figured out. My health, my hunger, and my thirst. I can start expanding the raft, building new things. I figured it would be good to first build a research table. So that's what I did, where you have to place a raw item into the research position. And once you do, you're able to learn the recipe for whatever that material requires. Place item in slot to research. What would I place in the slot? And I really thought it'd be a good idea to craft an upgraded scrap hook, which would require a bolt, which requires smelted metal, which in order to get that, I would need to figure out how to smelt things. But one thing that my totally attention deficit brain does is I focus on one thing and then something else pops up and I completely zone in on that. And then the thing that I was gonna do ends up not being in my brain for about 30 minutes. And then I realized, oh yeah, I was gonna do that. So what I ended up doing was making a simple collection net after learning it, which will allow me to collect resources automatically on the raft, which is great as soon as we drift into them. I've also now made a pretty great beet farm and a scarecrow to scare off the seagulls that were eating my crops. Next, I made a sign with a very important message on it, and I kept getting stuck on these islands, so I decided I would building anchors that would let me stop before I got stuck on them. And this is where I made it to my first large island and got another trophy for doing that. Hey, large landmass ahoy! Nice, this is a large island. And because I remembered I wanted to make a smelter, I swam around here and I tried to find clay and sand, which I needed to put together to make a brick that once dried would be able to make me a smelter. I then made a couple more nets and a paddle, which this paddle is a goated thing. This can get you out of some pickles and is just so strong. Your raft can get massive and the paddle will just get it out of every which nook and cranny. It's crazy. So I really started stopping at these little islands to get resources, metal, sand, clay, all that jazz, copper as well. And after making a couple bricks, I realized I would need 6 total and I just did not have that yet. So I was looking for other islands to garner more resources at. Should I make it? I'm gonna make a sail, bro. I'm gonna make a sail and I'm gonna get crazy with it. Oh, that's great. And I finally was able to kill the seagull that kept eating my dang crop. Oh my gosh, I killed him. Oh my gosh, I smoked the seagull. Whoa, and I got feathers and some drummies? Are you kidding me? He got what he deserved, man. As I continued my search for sand and clay, I was able to best this annoying shark that continually killed me. This is the end. Yes, let's go! But then shortly after, upon jumping in the water, I learned Sharkman respawns and he killed me and I lost 2/3 of my resources again. And this time I realized anytime I dive, I really ought to store my resources beforehand in case I die. I continually was looking for sand and clay and I realized that I would make it to islands sometimes and then run out of wood or palm trees or plastic or something and I couldn't craft anything anymore and I would kind of get stuck. So I really started thinking I need to get as many resources as I can so that I don't get stuck and then I can continue building things. So I went ahead and started working on constructing a layer of net to gather as many resources as possible so that, I wouldn't run out of materials. And I began doing this on the front of my raft. I also just kept having run-ins with the shark. He kept killing me. It was annoying. And I immediately get hit by him. Wow, I'm good at this game. Oh my gosh. Once I made it to another large island as well, I got hit by something random from above. Oh yes, the dry bricks are ready. All right, let's store them. What the heck was that? Which turned out to be this bird dropping rocks on me. And after making nets for a while, I was running low on scraps, so I needed to get to an island with some resources. And after killing the shark, I was able to gather a ton of resources, and then I was actually able to finally make my smelter. And this was great because now I could smelt metal ore, I could smelt sand to make glass, I could smelt seaweed, which I didn't really know yet, and I will be doing that eventually. But it was just great that now I knew I could smelt things and make bolts out of ingots or hinges out of ingots and everything that glass requires. So this was a big pick-me-up. The glass also allowed me to make an upgraded version of the water purifier and some other things. I then made a wall and a calendar, which showed me that I had survived for 15 days so far. And this is where you really hit your stride in the game, when you are able to go to an island, get what you need, then drift for a while. And just drift and let the resources come to you. Nets are catching them, you're collecting them, you're building stuff. There's always an element of pressure in this game. You know, the shark is going to be there. You might run into an island and get stuck. You're constantly managing your health, your thirst, and your hunger. So you always need food. But once you start kind of getting down the systems, the game definitely gets more efficient. It gets a little bit easier, but you still feel that kind of ever-present danger of you need to be doing stuff. But it was a lot of fun to just kind of float from island to island. So that's what I did. And on coming upon one of the large islands I went to, I found my very first trading post, which looks like it allows me to trade things with it in order to get other things in return, such as bait. Okay, this is interesting. And then I was able to make a new hook, which gathers resources twice as fast. And this is very helpful. Check this out. Can purify several cups of water. It does not require fuel. Well, what does it require then? Okay, how many cups of water can I put in there? Wow, I can put a lot of cups of salt water in here. That's kind of fantastic, guys. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these to make more space. Now I made myself a hammock, which I can sleep in, which is easier because at nighttime things are a bit harder to see. Because I was gathering resources so fast, I could make an advanced grill now, which allowed me to cook 3 items on it. Oh yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Woohoo! Oh my gosh, I am doing so good now. My next thing, like I've said a bazillion times, how big is the large crop plot? Because I need that in my life. That looks obnoxiously large. I'll put you here. And mango tree. And upon coming to my next large island, I encountered my first warthog. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh my gosh, how many times do I have to hit it? Oh, he's almost killed me. He's almost killed me. He's almost killed me. I'm almost dead, I'm almost dead, I'm almost dead, I'm almost dead. Zigzag, zig. No! No! Dang it. Oh no. Oh. So my goal for now was just kind of make a kind of utility function portion of my raft and then make a house portion of my raft. So I began constructing the foundation of the house portion while still trying to make the efficiency portion of my raft as good as possible. I got my next trophy, Aye Captain, for having a sail and placing my first stationary anchor on the same raft. There were some recipes that required vine goo, and I didn't know how to get it until I looked it up, and I really didn't even have to because it says can be smelted from seaweed, which I did not read. At this point, it's been 25 days, and I wanted to figure out how to make some armor, which I needed leather and wool for. And this is where I started to think I should be hunting. Okay, look at this. I've got me a basic bow. So I got to this large island, and unfortunately, looking back on this, it's very sad. But I killed this llama deer thingy that was jumping around. And once I killed it, it did not give me an option to do anything with it. And I began to think maybe that wasn't the way to take it down, or maybe these guys don't drop anything or do something else. Fortunately, I was able to kill the warthog though, and that did give me some leather. Yes! Let's go. Let's go, baby. Surely this is giving me leather. Surely, right? Yep, it did indeed. Ooh, and raw meat. So at this point, I was thinking I might need to just buy the wool from the trading post. Thought that that way was going to be able to do it, but apparently it wasn't. And after making it back to my ship, for whatever reason at this point, I decided I should try to tinker with the blueprint thingy. Maybe that would give me wool. Maybe I was doing something that, I needed to do to advance the story. And it seemed like this was the ticket. And once I could maybe get a new recipe or build something else, then I'd be able to get wool to make armor and backpack and everything. So I made my first circuit board, which would allow me to build a receiver and an antenna. So I knew I would need some more resources to do all of this, so I just kind of kept floating around. Stopped at a large island, got killed by another bird thing while I was leaving. No! No way, dude. Gosh, dang it. Oh my gosh. And was able to build my first receiver, which required a battery. And once I made a battery for it, it says requires higher altitude, which in my mind, I thought that that means that I have to go to a large island with the receiver, climb up as high as I can, and then put the receiver on that. But the problem was I was very scared of the bird, so I didn't really want to do that. And upon stopping at some islands and gathering metal, I can finally build an antenna. I also read the description for the net launcher, and it looks like that I can now catch animals if I build the net launcher. And in order to get this stuff for the ammunition, explosive powder, I would need to kill a pufferfish, which I realized I've run into before, but I didn't know what they were. And yes, unfortunately, I did have to look this one up because I had no idea how to get explosive powder. So I found my first pufferfish and quickly was able to make explosive powder from the goo that it gave me. And keep in mind, I had the receiver and antenna thing in the back of my brain, but now I wanted to catch animals. So I was able to catch my first sheep. Oh my gosh. Okay, that worked. That worked perfectly, and I can name it. And I named her Cheryl. And I thought that the sheep would give me wool. Turns out it doesn't. It only gives you milk. But Cheryl needed a grass plot in order to eat. So I needed to get some dirt, and I needed a shovel for that, so that's what I went off and did. I found a cave on a large island and got me some dirt. I also was able to get some mushrooms. I was also able to craft a cooking pot as well, which will give me the ability to put multiple ingredients into one pot. That in turn allows me to cook awesome meals and grants me way bigger bonuses to my health. And after cooking my first concoction, I got the trophy, a more complex concoction. Yay, look at that. A more complex concoction requires a clay bowl? I don't have one of those. So after making one, I ate the shark stew that I made and it boosted my health like crazy. I was able to milk Cheryl and drink her milk, which also boosted my water greatly. And shortly thereafter, I built my very first antenna. And after doing so and turning everything on, it still said it requires higher altitude. Discouraged by this, I went hunting for a couple more pufferfish, but they kept blowing up before I could kill them. And I was finally able to kill one, and I made another net with the hopes of catching a llama. And then I made it to the top of an island with the receiver and antenna, only to realize I was not able to put them down, which must mean they need to be on a higher altitude on my raft, not in the world. You can't place anything down in the world, and this is where I learned that. This gave me an excuse to work on my house, so I started working on the exterior walls and was finally able to begin construction of a second floor. To start for now, I'm just trying to build the second story out enough so that I can put the receiver and the antennas down. I made a water bottle, which I don't know why I just did this. I had been using the cup, which only lets you, drink one little swig of it. The water bottle lets you drink like 5 or 6, so I don't know why I waited so long to do this. This is how my brain works with these games. So once I was able to get the antenna situated and everything turned on, the receiver, it showed it was a circle and it showed a couple dots on it. Also, the number box turned on as well, and I had no idea what any of this meant. I do remember a number being in my journal, so I opened that up and saw that it says right there 7370, which after punching that into the box, highlighted one of the dots on the receiver. So I decided I would work on heading that way. And on the way there, I found a big island and was finally able to catch a llama. Let's go! Let's go! I'm gonna name you Janice. Oh my gosh, for the first time I have wool. Thank goodness. So now I'm heading to what is the first coordinates that I have, radio tower. On the way there, I got another trophy for learning all crafting recipes from packages. These packages would float in, decoration packages to be precise. And you just open them and they give you different decorations. So I got the trophy for this. And as we make our way towards the blip, it looks like this island is entirely man-made, which is the first thing that I've seen like this thus far. And that means we must be in the right place. So this is where things get more story-driven, which is great. Sometime. Come in here. There's a series of notes to be picked up. Pick up briefcase. Whoa.
We stopped for the night.
We stopped for the night.
Owl climbed the tower, and now Sparrow's not talking to either of us.
Sparrow.
I really hope we're not the last hope for humanity.
Jock Sparrow. I'm kind of just making my way through this area and picking up notes and figuring everything out. And I also found a blueprint here for a headlight. And once I made it to the top, there was actually someone there and it spooked the crap out of me. Oh, hey. Whoa. There's somebody in here. Is there a utopia? Find the whiteboard in the radio station. And now we're able to play as this girl, I guess, if I wanted to. And for unlocking all the notes on this one, I got Radio Tower Historian. Here we got a blueprint for a recycler, which will give us trash cubes, which is currency for the trading posts. And once I got back to the ship, I went ahead and built this immediately. And this thing is clutch because you can fill it with all the crap that you don't need. You're just going to be so filled with stones and palm trees, and the wood and plastic you kind of always need, but goodness gracious. I did collect a note in the tower as well that had the coordinates for the next island to travel to. And this one was called Vazikadu. And we headed that way. To 1250. Okay. Of course it's the one insanely far away. Okay. Got a trash cube. Wonder how many I'm gonna get. I think this thing will just keep spanking. I know, it's kind of crazy, isn't it, Janice? We came upon a peculiar sight. It turned out to be like a yacht or a cruise ship or something. And I was just kind of looking and going, what is going on? Dude, is that a freaking cruise ship? What is going on here, my boy? But before going in there, I made a backpack, which greatly expands your inventory. And thank God I did this. It's also day 50. And these story missions can get a little scary sometimes. And I came across this terrifying rat thing that actually... Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. Oh, that legitimately just scared me. That's a giant rat. Oh, what is this? A hedgehog. It's a hedgehog. I'm running circles around it. Spike. Oh my gosh. Whew. That was terrifying, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was terrifying. I picked up some notes and it was a woman describing her experience. Her name was Hannah.
Olaf left space for a dance floor, but no space for supplies.
And then I also picked up some notes from this creepy dude named Olaf, who seems like a maniacal weirdo. And he comes up with the idea to turn these people into these creepy rat things. I guess he's got control of them. This place was a maze, and this one obviously took way longer than the radio tower. It took about an hour and a half to do this whole thing, probably. What you kind of do is you walk around and you look for a couple things, and once you find them, that gives you access to somewhere else, and then you might find some resources there that allow you to put 2 and 2 together and blah, blah, blah. That's how all of these story levels kind of work, and this one was really cool. There are some of them that are atrocious, and we're gonna get to those. This one was pretty cool because you were just fighting rats the whole time, and it wasn't too hard to piece your way around. So I finally made it to the end of it and got the trophy bootleg fireworks for breaching the cockpit, and I got the historian trophy for getting all the notes. After picking up my next coordinates, I got a blueprint for a steering wheel and an engine. And once I made it back to my ship, I want to do a little decorating. And as I was heading towards the next island, I realized that I was going against the current. And this had a brain blast idea in my mind where I really realized I'd probably need an engine and a steering wheel to get there. To do this, I would need a lot of materials, so I floated around, gathered a bunch, stopped at islands, got metal, got copper, smelted, you know the drill. I was finally able to build an engine. Okay, I can build an engine and a steering wheel. Let's build the engine and see what this whole thing... Oh my goodness. What do you even do? I mean, That must be how it has to be. The steering wheel. Okay, we've made it. We've officially made the wheel. Welcome to the official captain's quarters. And the steering wheel is clutch. It lets you move the ship so fast in any direction you want. Oh, look at that. Look at that, dude. How easily I can frickin' steer. Oh, that's gonna change the game. I thought that my engine was on, you know, it sounded like it was on. It was moving very slowly. It wasn't hardly moving at all. But I thought that it was working. So we ended up drifting towards the next island, the blue dot, our next level, but it was because the current was taking us there. The engine was not working, but I didn't know this then. I figured that out later. So what I did was I actually made a paddle, and the paddle worked just fine and got me there. And this island was massive. It was absolutely huge. Look at this thing, dude. This thing is freaking massive, bro. And once I got here, a sign said, "Watch out for bears." Okay, I don't like that. I really am not a big fan of bears. Which I did watch out for them, but I very quickly ran into one. But not to worry, these guys were super easy to take down, borderline just dumb, and I was able to kill them. Okay, bear easily taken down. Not bad at all. Give me this souvenir. Check me out, Trick. Now I'm terrifying. I made my way to a lake of what seemed to be nuclear waste, but there were platforms for me to jump on. And I did that and was able to go all the way up to activate the very first relay station on this island. I also got my first note from a guy named Bruno.
3 months ago, my sister Astrid and I were put in charge.
Bruno!
Feeling so lonely
One of
anymore.
3 relay stations active. On heading out, I came upon a crazy big bear, way bigger than the other one. Yo, that bear is giant. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Oh, I can't get away from him. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I can't just walk away from him. Holy moly. Woo. That bear is freaking crazy. Oh my gosh. On this island, I also found resources that I had not yet found nor used. I found honey, I found a machete, and bees. It was just kind of things I'd never seen before. I made it to my next radio tower and found the next playable character as well, whose name is Johnny. Whoa, hey, look. Is this Bruno? Hey, Johnny.
Buddy, yeah, could you be an angel and help me out a bit? I
Ow.
know you big time.
Johnny. And after turning that radio tower on, found a couple of other notes. This guy named Bruno seems to be having a severe mental breakdown. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's got to get that figured out. He's missing somebody, his sister or someone, but yeah, the isolation is getting to him. I then turned on the last radio tower and got the coordinates for the next island I would be going to. Unfortunately, I have yet to find every note here, so I need to backtrack and do all that. And after finding the last of Bruno's notes, I got a trophy. Oh, goodness. Tiny little murderer. After putting a light bulb in this dude, this mannequin guy, I got a trophy. There we go. Fix Errol. Then I got another trophy for revealing a photo behind a tool board. A revelation. Why is there a photo behind the tool board? And finally was able to get all the notes for this island, which was called Balboa. I do! Yay, I got all the notes. Balboa historian, thank goodness. And I knew that there was another trophy for killing Mama Bear. I've reviewed the trophies. And so I decided I would make a bow and arrow and kind of try to cheese her. And that didn't work. She killed me. No. No! No. So I read online that if you stood across from her and shot her with your bow, she could not attack you because this little thing was in the way. And you could just spam bow and arrow shots at her and she would die. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Mama Bear. I really am. I'm glad I made another one of these. Yes, I'm sorry, Mama Bear. Oh my gosh, she took forever. Mother load. After making it back and floating around a bit, getting more resources and such, I realized that my engine was not working at all, and it hadn't been. And I noticed on the engine it said 1 wheel equals 100 foundations, which, you know, makes it seem that that engine will only power up to 100 foundations. I would need another engine to power if I had more. So I then took to work in making 4 engines, and I did that, and I really needed to. And now they were able to freaking work. I also sold my very first fishies at the trading post that I had fished out using the bait that I bought at the trading post, which gave me tokens, trade coins, essentially, which you can use to buy other things in the higher tiers. Compass. That's what I want. Yes. So I kind of went crazy fishing for a little bit. I wanted to try to get up to tier 3 in the trading post in order to be able to buy a bunch of stuff. And now realizing that my engines are working, it was a very big boost of energy. Activate. Nope. Okay, look at that. Now they are moving. That is a good sign. And you can power these with wood or biofuel, and we'll get to biofuel later. And I'm heading to my next island now, which is called Caravan Town. And on the way there, I made a paint mill because I hadn't done that yet. And upon entering Caravan Town, I jumped into the water and noticed there was a vast ocean kind of area that looked like it wanted me to go down. So that's exactly what I did. But before doing that, I ended up making an oxygen tank for the first time. And I had some flippers now, which was going to allow me to swim faster. I did pop another trophy exploring the depths for reaching a depth 100 meters below the surface. Reach a depth of 100 meters below the surface. Nice. Once I made it all the way down to the bottom, I found an infirmary key, a zipline part, and a blueprint for a metal detector. And once I went up, I started getting harassed by a bird here, and I was just so tired of these freaking birds and how many times they've already killed me that I decided it was going to be my mission to kill him, which I inevitably actually did. Let's go! Let's freaking go, baby. I just smoked him. And then upon searching the island, as you generally do when you get to one of these big islands, I found some notes. You just look for the notes, and the one giving the notes here's name was Dedo, who seemed to be a level-headed kid who had some experience as an engineer and was very crafty, and seemed like his parents were not doing all that well. And this whole island is just a bunch of mobile homes stacked on top of each other. This one, yeah, man, I did not love this one. It was a convoluted mess, and, you know, you had to do this thing with this water pipe, and you had to make sure that the water was getting down. And let me just tell you something right now. I don't like puzzles in video games. I don't like puzzles. And so the further you get into the story missions, as we are doing, as this is playing out, the more puzzles you encounter. And so that doesn't compute very well with me. Anyway, but we're going to push onward nevertheless. I finally found all the parts to assemble the zip line, which was awesome. And I headed to the infirmary, where I did learn that Dedo's parents were indeed sick, and they were worried about Olaf coming here and bringing his craziness. And that's what made everybody sick. And shortly thereafter, I made it to the mayor's office and got the coolest freaking hat. Oh yeah, this is my new hat from here on out. This is sick. Let's go. And in the mayor's chest, I got a note that had the word Tangaroa on it with our next coordinates. Shortly after, I got my next trophy for collecting every note here in Caravan Town. And I finally got out of there. A couple of my next recipes that I had my eyes on crafting, I needed titanium for, which I had yet to come across any titanium. I'd seen titanium ore for sale in the trading post, which is the only way that I thought at this point that I could get them. And I also wanted to make biofuel, which apparently is a lot more reliable than wood to power the engines. And for that, I would need a lot of bees. So I floated around a bit more as I usually do, gathered more resources, and then finally made it up to the next blue dot, our next city, Tangaroa, which looks like a giant big shell. Okay, here is Tangaroa. There was an opening on the side of it, which looked like I could get in, and I just wanted to take stock of where I was at. It was now day 83, which was kind of crazy. Upon entering Tangaroa, it seemed to be a dark, interconnected series of tunnels. Great. Fortunately, here I was able to find strawberries, which I hadn't had yet. And the notes that I was finding here seemed like there was some sort of riot going on upstairs. There was a fight, and kid Dedo, the kid from the last island, had made it here, apparently. And also Olaf was somehow here with a crew of people, and he was being very combative and just generally doing Olaf things, which he tends to do. So I made my way through the perilous tunnels of Tangaroa, encountering all sorts of crazy tasks and things on the way, and I came upon the surface. And there were these robots who looked very nice and friendly, but it turns out they were not nice and friendly. And one of them tried to attack me, and I killed him. And once I killed him, I got a key card. And this city is actually big, and you actually just roam around in it. It's really kind of crazy. So I used the key card to get into various different portions of the buildings. And I also found these cool things called vending machine tokens, which I didn't know what they were yet. I assumed you put them in some sort of vending machine, but I hadn't seen one yet. So I kind of just bounced around and looked for notes, went into every building I could find with the key cards, and it was just kind of wild exploring this whole city. I then did come across the vending machines and was able to buy food, and you can buy decorations. These things are really cool. And because I had quite a few, I decided to buy a piano. Okay, we bought a piano with all of the tokens I had, and I headed back to the raft to place it, as it would be a very nice decoration in my house, which was coming along quite nicely. I did get a trophy here for playing a key on the piano, doing all the little tasks that I needed to do in order to get to one of the closer to final rooms in Tangaroa. I made it to the elevator and was led up to a floor where people were having a birthday party without me. I did find quite a lot more vending machine tokens, which were turning into very appetizing things for me, and then was led outside and kept following the path it obviously wanted me to follow, where I eventually made it to the main tower area. I found a note here from a security guard, and it seems like the lower class civilians were kind of having a quarrel with the higher class civilians who seemed to have been locked up in the tower upstairs. And upon making it to the top floor, I came across this puzzle where I would need to correlate the street names with the numbers that were close to them. It was kind of confusing, but I did have a little bit of help in the form of figuring out how to do it, because I didn't know what to do, in the form of the internet briefly. Anyways, I made it back to the top, punched in the code, and boom goes the dynamite. Success! Oh my gosh! Yeah, Ocean Man. Launch initiated. Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep. Okay, very cool. After getting to that launch bridge, we found Elaine, who is our next unlockable character, and also found the final note from James Tolley explaining that Tangaroa had run out of food. Yes. Let's go. Tangaroa historic. So now I just wanted to float quite a bit. I'd been spending a lot of time in between these working on the raft, doing chores, trying to upgrade stuff. So I ended up building 2 more engines, and I'd actually found some titanium on Tangaroa, some titanium ore, and I smelted that into ingots. And the one thing I wanted to make more than anything with titanium was an engine control, which would allow me to control all of the engines, my anchor, which directions the engine went, from the cockpit of my ship, which I had built and made relatively nice. I also placed down the jukebox that I bought from the vending machine, which was a total vibe. And shortly after, floated to another big island where I bought some more bait, did some chores, gathered resources, and found another sheep who I named Big Joe. After fishing for quite a bit and selling my fish, I got to tier 2 at the trading post finally. Okay, we've unlocked tier 2, baby. We have unlocked tier 2. That's big. Which now can allow me to fish with medium bait, which will get me better fish. And this is where I learned the devastating fact, devastating for me, not for you, that I could just throw out my fishing line without bait on it, and I would catch fish. So this whole game, I haven't fished for any fish. I've been relying on beets and chicken and shark meat and my various little recipes that I've been making. I've really only been sticking to 2. But I learned here that, yeah, I could indeed catch salmon and mackerel and all this other stuff if I just threw out the line. So upon learning this devastating news, I kept fishing and then went and painted my entire house white on the inside. I don't know why I did this. It looked hideous, but I decided to just continue forward with it because I didn't want to waste the paint that I had. Okay. Looks like it snowed in here. And this is where I just really kind of grinded, put my head down, nose to the grindstone, took care of what I needed to take care of, did my chores around, you know, worked on advancing everything, making more decorations for my house. I just wanted to spend some time kind of refining everything that I had. Okay, let's sell these fishies. Come on, get me up to tier 3. Let's go! Expert merchant. Made it to tier 3, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Now I can buy titanium ore. Holy, oh my gosh. I can build a surfboard, canteen, a detail plank, a diving helmet. We're definitely gonna need a lot more resources. I also really wanted a chicken because I didn't have any eggs, and so I kept kind of looking for them. I haven't seen a chicken in a while. Sheeps, llamas, no chickens. Oh my gosh, dude, leave me alone. I'd also made a nice pen for the animals that they were hanging out in, as you can see. So after spending hours just kind of tinkering around, I decided it would be a good idea to go ahead and head to Varuna Point, which were my next coordinates. My plan was to continue to recycle materials and just sell those puppies to the trading post. I also had a mind to make a metal detector here now for some reason, as I knew that I would need to be going and digging up treasures from islands, which I had not done yet. And you do that with the metal detector, but we'll get to that later. Having these engines is clutch. Having the steering wheel is clutch. Once you kind of orient yourself in the right direction, it's awesome to just go and you're itching closer to the dot and the wind is not bothering you. The current of the ocean is not bothering you. You're just heading straight for it. This is the tale of Captain Jack Sparrow. Feel like Jack frickin' Sparrow, baby. And once we finally make it to Varuna Point, it looks like there was some sort of construction. It looks like 2 massive buildings. Whoa. I think that's it right there. I think that's why you gotta look. And it was definitely very interesting. Okay, it looks like a big old boy. So upon jumping in the water, there was this loud noise that happened and it shook the screen and it was definitely scary. Whoa. What the frickin' heck is that? What was that? And this place was really interesting because there's a whole ecosystem down below with breathable bubbles, and I decided to just send it and I headed straight down. I made it down to a door, but I needed something called the motherlode key to get in. I also didn't really have the proper diving materials, so I thought I'd explore on the surface first, then deal with this. That's what I thought I was gonna do. I got totally distracted by these jellyfish and went inside of the building where the jellyfish were guarding and fought these crazy light fish that were terrifying. And here I found my first note from a guy talking about how he likes stealing stuff. Now I went to explore the surface, and you kind of just parkour up this, construction, and I found another note as I scaled the tower, and this guy called himself the Grabber, and he was French. He was a Frenchman who was a grabbing thing. But he was talking about someone who showed up to the building with some dolls and climbed all the way to the top and had left something there. At this point is where a lot of the notes that you find and the characters, they kind of start interconnecting. You're kind of introduced to sort of these main characters, narrators of these islands, but then they kind of start interconnecting and talking about each other. It seems like they meet each other and you're kind of seeing this story play out. So anyway, I climbed to the top. Oh, wow. We are really climbing up this thing, baby. I'm glad we got the construction cap on. That was clutch. And he had been talking about how he stole Ruben and Detto's tools. Ruben was a gentleman who we met a while back, but he was with Detto. Yeah, I didn't talk about Ruben. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I then took the coolest zipline ride of my life. All the way down. Whee! Yay! Zip zap. What a ride that was. Traveled 50 meters on a zip line without disjointing. Nice. I then took some time and searched around and found spotlight parts so that I could get into the next portion of the level. I then did my best and parkoured and tiptoed around these next rooms as Grabber had actually booby-trapped all of it. So I needed to be on high alert. Oh, okay, that was a legit trap. Go, there's more. Holy moly. Ooh. The motherlode key, nice.
I would be bored these days.
Shortly thereafter, got my next trophy for collecting all grabber caches on Varuna Point. Locate all grabber caches on Varuna Point. And this is where I come across the most terrifying thing I've seen thus far in the game, the shark in the motherlode. It's a guabo. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious. Absolutely not. Hold on. It took me a while to figure out how to beat this guy. He was really scary and intimidating. When he hit you, he would launch you across the entire map, and that was spooky. But the good thing was that I was able to figure it out. So you take these explosive barrels in the middle and kind of just wait for him to hit you. Once he hits the pillar, you put the explosive barrel in the pillar. He hits that. He's an idiot. Boom. Big boom. Okay, I got it. And it blows up and hurts him. So once I did that, went up another layer, did that 2 more times, and he was dead. And I got a trophy for doing that. Come on, bro, Namath, you idiot. You did it again, you moron. You frickin' moron. Let's go, baby. Whew. That was a lot. I then went back up all the way to where the crane was, dropped the crane. All right. Should drop. Big boom. That's what we like to see. Now it's time for a whee. Came down and was able to wrap up the notes for Varuna Point and got Varuna Point Historian. There it is right there. Thank goodness. And here's where I started drifting to smaller islands. With the metal detector, look for stuff, dig up treasures with a shovel. Sometimes you find cool stuff. One time I found a tiki head while I was doing this. After doing that, I made an epic trophy wall. I hadn't hung up any of my trophy heads yet, and I figured it'd be cool to do that. And once I made it to my next trading post, I was able to buy a ton of titanium ore, which I could now use on everything I might need it for. So I started doing some collecting for about 30 minutes. You know, you always just got to get your metal, your clay, your all these ores and smelt them and do your thing. I also kind of just decided that at this point I wanted to try to paint the house red eventually. So I put that plan in motion. And let me tell you, next thing I did is absolute game changer. When you build this engine control system and put it down and you can control the engines from the cockpit, it is huge. You don't have to go run around and turn each one of them on and off and the anchor and blah, 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 blah. This is a massive game changer. Shortly after, I also made my very first juicer. Okay, I've made a juicer for the very first time. And then made yet another recycler to get these blocks faster. I began using the metal detector quite a bit, and I really should have been doing this for a long time because you can get titanium ore out of these bad boys. So after doing that, I made it back to the ship and made my first biofuel refiner so that I wouldn't have to burn as much wood for my engines, and it required raw food and honey. So I would need to make a beehive as well, and I ended up doing that. This was a very engineering ingenuity portion of it, and I actually also ended up making a wind turbine, which let me charge batteries while I just moved the ship. So now I wouldn't have to toss batteries out. I could charge them, which would save me a ton of copper. I also made a water purifier, the best kind of one that you can. So things are really moving up. And after stopping at another large island, I decided it was finally time to head off to the next mission, which was called Temperance. Temperance was interesting because as soon as you pull up to the island, it's snowing. Oh my gosh, is it snowing? What the hell? And at Temperance, as I poked around, I found a snowmobile that you can actually ride and a couple facilities. Snowmobile. Oh, freaking awesome. Let's go, baby. Woo! First, I found all these dome-shaped huts that all needed electrical cables to open. And then I came upon a research facility that required a blowtorch to open. I stumbled upon an area that had radioactive energy in it that poisoned me. Hey, that's something. Oh. Oh, it's poisonous. What if I jump up here? Still very much poisonous. It's radioactive. Oof. That's not to be trifled with. Probably gonna need a gas mask or something. And here I figured it would be a good time to start harvesting the electrical cables, which were found at these light towers that kind of had red flashing lights. Next, I found myself in a observatory type area and I began finding my first notes. Oh, they're nude. Whoa. Hang on. What the hell? What y'all trying to do to me out here? Hey, a vending machine token. This is a nice room. Here's some notes.
There's bears all over this frozen
Bruno.
island.
Apparently that Bruno guy was here and he ran into Dedo, the kid. And Bruno seems to be going less crazy as he starts talking to more people, which good for him. They decided that they're going to head to an island with a lot of people on it. In this consolation portion, I had to line up these consolation things and figure out how many stars were in each one of them and punch this code into a safe. You know, I don't like puzzles. This wasn't really a puzzle. There's going to be some more of this stuff too, because after the observatory, I found the blowtorch, made it all the way back to the main door that required it. And I came into a large chamber with a power reactor and found a note from Sparrow, who was apologizing to this cuckoo fellow. Got a hazmat suit on. No clue what I'm doing here. And here's a kind of other puzzle where you had to punch in the number of the chemical to these computer things to open the doors. So I did that. And as I headed into the next room, I grabbed my first control rod, which these are the things I'm gonna have to collect. You're gonna see why. And in the middle of spinning this giant wheel, I got attacked by some beetles. What the heck is that? What is this alien creature? He's barely doing any damage. I don't know what it is. It's a beetle. Okay, it was just meat. And I was able to grab the next control rod after killing them. I then came into arguably one of the most annoying rooms in the entire game, where you have to line up these mirrors to shoot these lasers at a certain point, and I just could not figure it out for the life of me. So I did not. I maybe did. Who knows? Look up what to do. I'm not sure. And after doing that, I found another control rod and another note from Sparrow this time, who said that there is a utopia and that we should figure out how to get there. Unfortunately, though, Olaf, the crazy person, has taken it over. And after putting in all the control rods, I unlocked my next trophy for unlocking every playable character after I unlocked this one dude, Shogo. I'm dead. All aboard. Okay, I did unlock all playable characters, but I'm about to die. I then grabbed the coordinates for Utopia and I was ready to roll, but unfortunately, I am plumb out of water. So I did something pretty epic. I just tried to make it back to the ship, and with seconds to spare, I drove my snowmobile into the water and almost got some water. There it is. There's my raft. Can I make it? Can I make it? Oh, I got the trophy. No! Dang it, I almost got it. I did get a trophy, though. Oh, my gosh. Oh, that's so funny. And I was missing one or two notes on Temperance, so I went back, got those, and got the trophy for it. I then spent the next couple days just floating around, stopping at islands, getting treasure. Hey! I think I found my first tiki piece. Nice. After putting some flowers by the beehive, the bees started buzzing, which was good. I didn't know that I had to do this until now. And then I finally did accomplish my mission and paint my house red. Okay. It is now red. The cribbo is now reddo. And after gathering resources and floating for quite a bit, I'm finally coming up upon Utopia. In Utopia, man, this place just... yeah, this place. Not much of a utopia, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So as I pull up, I'm seeing some hyenas that are roaming around, and they're very scary looking. I kind of tried to get my feel for the island, so I walked around, killed some hyenas, found these little dirt plots, and after roaming around for what seemed like way too long, I found what seemed to be Dedo's house. He left a note that said only the smartest people would be able to enter, and he was talking mad crap about Olaf. He did not like Olaf, but he said there's a way to get inside of his house. I just had to figure it out. Fortunately, there was a map with 3 red circles on it, which showed the locations of dig sites I needed to go to. And after finding all 3 of the notes, I was able to unlock Deto's house. I spent some time still just kind of roaming around, and I was able to connect these electrical cables to this water thingy. At this point, I was really tired of puzzles, and I was not even close to being out of the woods yet, but I did these obnoxious water puzzles where you have to connect these pipes. And after doing that, I found a note from Hana saying that Olaf had locked everyone up and I would need a master key to get to them. After unlocking a couple more doors, I did some parkour and was able to get into a room where I encountered Olaf for the very first time. And then, of course, we had yet another puzzle room that I had to get through, and I totally did not look this one up either. I just wouldn't do something like that. Doesn't sound like me. And I actually had to do another one of these, and I finally made it to Olaf yet again, except this time it was a battle. He was throwing dynamite at me. Whoa! Hold on, Laffy. Hold on, big guy. Whoa, everything, the floor's lava. The floor is actually lava. After building up this tower to get to him, he ran off like the total wimp that he is. Ha ha ha! How is he not dead? How is he not dead? What? And after pursuing him, we made it to the next part of the Olaf battle, which was a warehouse. And this was more annoying than the first point because not only was he throwing dynamite at us, these hyenas were chasing me around the whole time. And I did end up dying, which dying on Utopia is great. It's just fantastic. Oh my gosh. Because it's not like you have to run all the way back and do all these BS little, puzzle things that they have for you. It's just great. After beating all of those hyenas and climbing up, I made it to the final room of Olaf's, where I was gonna fight Alpha Hyena. And looking back on this, I mean, like I said before this, I've never played Raft once in my life. I didn't use healing salves throughout the whole game, or anything like that for that matter. I really probably should have. This hyena was pretty tough, and he almost got me a couple times, but he would launch at you, he'd jump at you, he'd leave these puddles of toxic goop, but somehow, some way, I was able to best him in one life. Ow, ow, that was devastating. It's most likely not looking good for me here. How long does this stuff frickin' last? I avoided him. I avoided him. Oh my gosh, I killed him. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Holy crap, I was able to do that in one shot. I really should have made healing salves, though. This was very stupid. We then make our final confrontation with Olaf. He really only fell that far? Master key. Can I kill him? And after getting the master key, I saved everyone and got a trophy. There is a Utopia! Yeah! Can't believe it, man. I really did it. So it's great that I've finished the story portion of the game. However, I'm not even close to being done, as I have 13 more trophies left to do. So now it is grind time. My plan is mostly to sail to these small islands, get as many treasures as I can, upgrade the raft, and just clean everything else up. There are, however, 2 very difficult RNG trophies that I would have to get. And these 2 trophies consist of finding a rare island that has a boat on it, and finding a rare island that has a plane on it. More on these 2 later. At this point, I'm on day 127. And after catching my first chicken at a large island and harvesting an egg, I finally got the trophy Bookworm for researching everything in the research table. Oh my gosh. Research everything in the research table. Let's go. Let's go. I can't believe I did the whole game without eggs. That's crazy. For another trophy, I was going to have to dig up 50 treasures total. So I started really using my metal detector and shovel a lot. There were also 2 trophies that were related to digging up treasures. One for collecting 4 unique tiki heads, and the other for collecting 8 unique developer paintings. So I just began sailing around to small islands, and fortunately, I did find the island with the boat on it. Whoa, what is this? Oh, Captain, my Captain. Reach Captain's Island. Hey, a radio. Nice. Some planks. And a captain's hat that I'm definitely putting on. It's time to do away with the construction hat. Look at that, baby. I'm the captain now. Look at me. I am the captain now. I then went and tried to get another trophy called Big Spender, which is used, well, which I thought was spending the trading post currency at the trading post. However, it is for spending the vending machine tokens that are at some of the islands. So I needed to go back and spend some vending machine tokens to get some other stuff. So I went all the way back to Tangora and got another trophy for spending 30 tokens. Close. Yes, sir. Big spender. Spend 30 tokens. I had another trophy I needed to get here. Well, I actually had two, but I didn't know about the other one. So I did get one more trophy for taking this elevator down 20 floors. That's a button right there. Don't know how you would see that. And here we are, 24's down. We should not be here, but we are. We sure are. So as my trophy cleanup continued, I needed some really difficult ones, and the RNG ones, you know what? I just need to take a break from RNG trophies for a long time. I'm gonna be looking at the trophy lists of games that I do because I cannot stand these things. And after finally getting my 50th dugout treasure, I got Expert Excavator. Hey, there we go. First try, Expert Excavator. Let's go, baby. As I made my way between islands, I stopped at some large ones, I stopped at some small ones. I did find my very first rare animal. Got a trophy for that. Oh, that's a rare one right there. That's a rare goat. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I stayed for it. Come on, baby, come to Papa. Come to Papito. Yes! Let's go. Let's freaking go. There's really not much you can do other than just hope that you get the right painting. Okay, I think we got a painting there. So let's plop it up right there. Okay, we've got, that's the same one. 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe we have half of them now. Okay, it looks like we got another painting, which is great. Or that you get the right tiki head, because sometimes you'll find one that you already have on both of those. And these are just two of the more annoying RNG trophies. I did eventually find my 4th tiki head. Oh, found another helmet. I think this is the one, ladies and gents. I think this is the one. And after stacking them up, and finally, boom, got a trophy. Aha! Hey, look, they move. Okay, former glory. After spending another couple hours, I finally found my 7th and 8th picture. Here is the 7th picture. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need one more. And then after spending about 2 or 3 more hours, I found my 8th pictures. Oh my gosh. I think this is the one. I think this is the one. Put it right next to self-portrait. Yes. Thank goodness. It's a Kraken. Oh my gosh. Do I know too much about not finding one of those? Goodness gracious. So at this point, I only have 4 more trophies left, and I really wanted to try to focus on finding the plain island before getting the other ones, or just clean up trophies that I missed at other islands, for the most part. So, and I began taking a running list. I figured that from sun up to sundown, here's where I started breaking some math down and getting a little bit crazy, because as you float around and just wait for this randomly generated island, turns out the plain island has a 2% chance of spawning. That means as an island spawns in, there's a 2% chance that it will be either the plain island or that it will be the boat island. This can take quite a bit longer than you'd actually think. So much longer that I started doing some math and getting pretty meticulous with what I thought would happen. After probably floating for what seemed to be around 10 hours, I decided to start writing down exactly which islands. I began to start taking notes of how many islands I saw, how many small islands I saw. I didn't even track big islands. I also realized that from sun up to sundown is about 13 minutes and 24 seconds. And you see roughly 2 to 3 small islands a day, but you may actually go a couple days only seeing 1 to maybe 2 small islands. Everything dependent on the weather and how much you can see. So I did this for about 15 hours or so, and then just decided one day, you know what? Let me just get the other 3 trophies that I haven't gotten yet, and I'll come back to this plain one. So that's what I did. So there's a trophy for having all buffs on you at a time. And I didn't even know that there were really buffs in this game because I hadn't made a dish and eaten one that required buffs. So really good thing to figure out at the end of the game, obviously. And after making the required recipes that I would need, I got a trophy for having every buff active. Okay, now if I eat and drink all 5 of these. Okay, delicious. Literally never even seen one of those before. That's crazy that I just got a trophy. I've never even seen one of those before. I think I've been playing the game wrong the entire time. I then headed back to the island Balboa for the bear trophy that I was missing. Oh, there it is. Ah, pling. Easy dub. And then headed off to Tangaroa for another trophy that I missed. Boxed in, baby. Very cool. Now I have 1 trophy left in the whole game. And by some crazy miracle, shortly after I left Tangaroa, this happened. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. On my probably 157th island that I found. Oh my gosh. I honestly think I might cry. I could literally cry. There it is. There's the plane right there, gang. Oh my gosh, this trophy sucks so bad. It sucks so bad. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, I did it. Let's go, baby. Let's freaking go. So after 243 total days in Raft, I finally completed everything. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. It really means so much. If you watched this far, I just really appreciate you guys. I'm trying to blow this thing up. I'm trying to make this my full-time career. It's my dream. So I thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you wouldn't mind liking the video and potentially subscribing, really helps me out a lot. Tells YouTube that you like what I'm putting out and showing you guys. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Toodaloo.